I am a Jap. No, I do not mean the derogatory acronym that stands for Jewish American Princess with its connotations of being a spoiled, high-maintenance girl who relies on men to pay for the season's newest Chanel handbags. No, when I say I am a Jap, I mean I'm Jewish and proud. Let me explain. Before PACE, I went to the Davis Academy, which is the largest Reform Jewish day school in the United States. During my time at Davis, I didn't comprehend that Jews make up less than 1% of the world's population, because they made up my population. No one discussed their religion. It was like a little-known secret we all shared. I never had to think about what being Jewish meant to me because I was surrounded by Judaism and Jewish values every day. We were taught the values of kavod, respect, kahila, community, ruach, spirit, chokhmah, wisdom, and tzedek, righteousness. These 5 pillars have stuck with me through the years, along with my peers, of what it takes to be a good person. When asked to explain the entire basis of Judaism when standing on one foot, the Jewish sage Hillel said, "What is hateful to you, don't do to your neighbor." My kindergarten teacher said, "Flexible people don't get bent out of shape." And following the events in Israel on October the 7th, my speech took a new turn. The Jewish sage Hillel stated, "What is hateful to you, do not do onto your neighbor." The summer going into my junior year, I went to Alexander Muss High School in Israel, which is a 6-week academic course in the small town of Hod HaSharon, 32 minutes north of Tel Aviv. This program brings together hundreds of Jewish high school students from around the United States to learn about Israel, Judaism, and what it's like to live as an Israeli teenager. I was drawn to the HSI program because my aunt did it 30 years ago, and everyone who goes loves it. HSI was a life-changing experience for me, but not in the way I thought it would be. I thought I would want to come back to wear a yarmulke on my head or start going to temple every Friday night. I thought I would return home Jewish and loud. Last month, we saw images from a music festival in Israel similar to Music Midtown. We saw images and videos from kibbutzim, which are small communities of people who live together, raise families together, and pray together. Each person experienced what happens when neighbors do not treat neighbors as they would want to be treated. Israel, the world, and I have been changed forever. I think back to my time in Israel when my friends and I walked around the beach feeling completely secure in our environment. Oh, how naive I was. To give everyone an understanding of what took place on October 7th, it's the equivalent to nearly 38,000 Americans dying in one day due to a terrorist attack. What would we do? How would we feel? What would we say? When I came to PACE, a new world opened up. Not everyone around me was Jewish. I began to comprehend and truly understand that Jews make up less than 1% of the world's population. Being new to PACE, I wanted to fit in. Unlike other minorities, it wasn't hard to fit in. I dressed and looked similar to most of the girls. Originally, I did not wear any jewelry that resembles a Jewish symbol and was reluctant to mention my previous school was Jewish. I felt that if I mentioned that, I'd be labeled as different. I'm sure that many of you can relate to wanting to be liked or wanting to fit in. I thought that by expressing my differences, I might not make many friends and could have a rough 4 years at PACE. I don't know why. Maybe I didn't want to be ostracized for it. Maybe I just didn't want to hear other people's opinions. Or maybe I just wanted to assimilate so I could be like all the other girls in my grade. I feared telling my friends that I could not make plans on Sunday mornings because I had Sunday school, or would say that I would have family dinner rather than saying it was Shabbat. I would appear as different. I thought it'd be better to just blend in. I wanted to be an American Jew, not a Jewish American. American Jews are people who follow Jewish traditions, but when asked, would always say they're American first, then Jewish. Freshman year me thought this was the perfect balance. I mean, if Cher Horowitz from the movie Clueless could do it, then why couldn't I? Cher is blonde, lives in Beverly Hills, and is named after a singer. To me, I thought she was the perfect balance of an American Jew, because she never came out and said she was Jewish. Another Hollywood example is Gretchen from Mean Girls. The only time she talked about her religion was about the amazing white gold hoops her parents got her for Hanukkah. I was able to identify with both of them because they were both leaders despite being different. Neither girl wore Judaism on their sleeve. Freshman year me wanted to be these girls because they fit in so easily with everyone else and weren't labeled as an outsider just because they were Jewish. As high school progressed, I became more centered with the reality happening around me. I was less worried with how I was perceived and more conscientious of what I thought of myself. When I was in Israel for HSI, I was once again surrounded by the familiarity feeling of home. HSI put me back in my Jewish day school environment and created a sense of family, which was really cool to have 6,400 miles away from my house. We would sing songs in Hebrew, celebrate Shabbat together, trade clothes to go to the Western Wall, and even sometimes discuss problems that face Judaism. However, this was different than my elementary school and middle school experiences at Davis. At Davis, I just went along with what we were told to do by our teachers and rabbis. At HSI, I became comfortable that being different from most of my PACE community is not a bad thing. It helped me realize that what makes us different makes us who we are. Even in this group of people whose Friday nights looked similar to mine, I was still different. For some of them, they celebrated Shabbat every Friday night by lighting the candles. For me, in the fall I cheer, and I occasionally light the candles in the winter. Part of Israel's magic is that while it might be the Jewish state, many different cultures, religions, and ethnicities combine. In the city of Jerusalem alone, there's the Western Wall from the Temple of Biblical Times, the Church of Holy Sepulchre, where Jesus was crucified, and the Dome of the Rock, where Muhammad rose. In three of the world's major religions call Jerusalem home. In no other part of the Middle East will you see a church next to a mosque, which is next to a synagogue. Being in Israel showed me how just because people have different beliefs or different faiths does not mean that you should hide a part of yourself. When I returned home, I could not stop talking about my trip. To this day, I find any reason to bring it up in a conversation. Freshman year Vivian would never have thought to bring up her Israel trip. She would have worried that it might bother others to listen to her constantly speak of the amazing things she saw and learned. The biggest outward change that happened from HSI was I bought a Hebrew necklace that says Chai, which I've worn on my neck every day since. In Hebrew, Chai means life. Something changed in my life when I began to wear this necklace. I actively chose to wear my Jewish pride on my neck. I don't understand why people do not accept others' differences. Our differences only make us stronger. At PACE, I wanted to assimilate. I wanted to blend in. I wanted to stuff my Judaism so far down it would just get lost. But this is not assimilation. Assimilation means becoming similar to something, but not the same. Assimilation also means taking in and fully understanding ideas. By me being Jewish and proud, I assimilated. I achieved my goal of blending in while also standing out and embracing my differences. Given the recent events in Israel, I would hope that people respect each other's differences, the right to form community rich in their spirit and tradition, and that our leaders use their wisdom to create a world full of righteousness. Being Jewish makes me different from most of the world and most of you. For those listening, I hope you can also learn to be proud of what makes you different. Our differences make us who we are, and we should learn to embrace them without the fear of being judged or made an outcast. Thank you.